Hello everyone, welcome back to diving into Doctor Who here on It's a Wonderful Podcast as Series 3. Well, we're well into it now. I say well into it, we're a little bit into it now, aren't we? Gone is the introduction to our new companion in Martha Jones, and onward we go into our first real, proper TARDIS adventures with Martha. We have a celebrity historical, which is always a good start, and then a future episode as well, returning to a particular time and place we have been to before. Well, not a time we've been to before, but a place we've been to before, definitely. And that's notable. That comes up. Martha has some questions about that. How much is Martha feeling just like a rebound here?
Yeah.
She says as much. Is the Doctor treating her pretty badly, fundamentally, in kind of just having somebody there, needing to have somebody there, and her feeling very much like a rebound from Rose? It takes Martha's fight for the Doctor to actually open up somewhat about anything to her at all, which you never felt like that with him and Rose. Neither incarnation, neither, the 9th Doctor or the 10th with Rose, you never felt there was any sort of struggle to develop a relationship from the character's point of view. No, that's not bad writing we're complaining about here. It's just an interesting character beat.
I liked the struggle of him to open up to her, and her kind of wanting to know that she's not just here as a placeholder, wanting to be of value to him and to get to know him, because I think she is maybe a little bit smitten because we have a scene when where they are in a very kind of close proximity situation, and then he starts talking about Rose and she gets a bit frustrated. So I like that we're kind of growing in that dynamic, and kind of by the end of it we see him kind of be more open with her, and even kind of quickly faced with losing her, and how that makes him feel, maybe helping show him that no, this woman isn't just a placeholder, like there is some care there, because look how stressed out I am at her being taken away. So I really like the time that they're taking to really develop this relationship, and we're not just kind of jumping into it. We're not just immediately forgetting about Rose. We're making it clear that this is a bit difficult for him, but that ultimately Martha is kind of wearing him down because of how wonderful she is. So
and you're speaking a lot there about the kind of ending dynamic we end the Gridlock episode with, and admittedly there's more weight, I think, to Gridlock as an episode than our first episode today, which is episode 2, the Shakespeare Code. That is a little bit more of your typical let's just go off and have a bit of an adventure, and there's not really any wider thing going on. There's some character bonding, building going on, sure. There's a relationship building going on as kind of struggling from Martha's standpoint as that may be. But Gridlock, as the second episode we'll be talking about today, does hold a bit of weight for this series. So, and I think it's a great episode in its own right, to be honest. I forget actually how much I enjoy that particular episode, given it's not the first. It's far from the first I think about when I think about Series 3 of Doctor Who, because of the ridiculously impressive run it goes on in its sort of second half. But it's a good reminder. I think both of these episodes, to be honest, are a good reminder that early Series 3 is also pretty good. There's good stuff here. We enjoyed the opener last time out. It came after the Runaway Bride Christmas special and meeting Donna Noble and all that greatness that was there.
Yeah.
But we enjoyed Smith and Jones, the Jadoon on the moon and the Plasmavore vampire creature,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. It's fun. It was good. We enjoyed it. It was a good
Yeah.
introduction to
Martha
Martha as a new companion. How are we feeling about Martha herself, though, going into this? Do we just see her as somebody who is there to be smitten with the Doctor, or are you getting a little bit more depth from Martha? She's obviously very different to Rose.
Yeah. No, she is really kind of showing her willingness to kind of jump into this world. Um, yes, there is that smitten factor, but I think she is her own woman and she does try to kind of be helpful and useful and use what she knows to her advantage to help these situations out. So yeah, I think she is finding her own path in being a helpful companion. Um, that does feel different than Rose.
Yeah.
Um,
I tend to find
and
Martha a little bit more, well, quite considerably more introspective than
yeah,
Rose. Rosie was very go with the flow, we'll do it, we'll crack on, we'll fight together,
yeah,
we'll run together, we'll do all this. Martha's questioning. Martha's like, oh,
yeah.
hold on, what am I actually doing here? There's a
Yes.
whole scene in
Yeah,
Gridlock where she's kind of terrified to be so
yeah,
separated and so seemingly in mortal peril in that episode because she has no idea who the Doctor really is. This is only like this is only their third episode together.
yeah,
We don't know exactly how much time has passed physically
yeah,
since they've known each other, but it's not that
yeah,
long at all. And she really doesn't know anything about him. Nobody in her family knows where she went when she went with the Doctor, knows
yeah.
where she is. She's literally sat there considering that she's going to die on this far distant new
Place,
Earth.
and no one's gonna
Um,
know that she's even, where she is and what she's doing.
exactly. And I
Yeah,
don't think Rose ever had quite that introspection. Martha's obviously a lot older than Rose as well as a character.
yeah.
I say a lot, not like
No,
ages
but
old.
she was in adulthood working towards, like, a stable career, really knew what she
Yeah,
wanted. Rose was very much lost and not really
yeah,
having a plan or a drive, and was very kind of fed up with the state of her life. Martha seemed like she was pretty happy with the life she had. So,
yeah.
for her to kind of make this choice to do this is very much more out of kind of, like, her medical mind of being curious about things and wanting
It's
to understand
curiosity.
things. Whereas Rose was kind of like, I have nothing else, so let's make
Yeah,
this my thing and put all into it because it's for once this is something I'm good at, so I'm gonna just focus on this and leave everything behind. Martha
yeah.
has a lot more to consider in terms of her doing this, so yeah, we definitely see that kind of at play in these episodes.
But that along with that curiosity, maybe does come that little bit of I'm a bit smitten with this strange man who's very adventurous and charismatic and
Mhm.
saves the day. And who is he? There's
Yeah,
definitely that. We can't
yeah.
escape that. I don't
I mean,
think.
especially after he's kissed her.
Well, yes. I mean, we'll get into why exactly that has to happen because it's not a kiss in this traditional sense.
No. Yeah,
This isn't
no. Yes.
as we talk about episode 2 of series 3, the Shakespeare Code. I will give a little bit of a synopsis now. As a reward for her help with the Plasmavore, Martha Jones gets a trip in the TARDIS. It's never just one, is it? This is what we have
Oh,
to
yeah.
do. It's always like, oh, you know, fancy a trip in the TARDIS, new prospective companion.
Yeah.
Doctor, you've been doing this for over 50 years now. Doctor, at
Yeah.
this point as we're speaking, Doctor, you've been doing this for over 60 years now. Do you
Yes.
fancy
Yeah.
just one trip?
Little trip.
Never
I'll
gonna
take
be
you right back. Yeah.
yeah, you will come straight back home. We'll be back in time for tea. No, we won't. Stop lying, Doctor. The 10th Doctor takes her to 1599 England. After viewing a performance of Shakespeare's latest play, the time travellers are beset by apparent sorcery. Under threat of annihilation from a species from the dark times, the TARDIS team, which for some reason it's referring to them as the TARDIS team, there's only 2 of them, have to establish whether there is a connection between a witch they've met and Shakespeare's Love's Labour's Won, a play that was legendarily lost to time. We like this, don't we? We like a bit of witchy Shakespeare.
Yes.
Elizabethan, well, not Tudor time. Well, yes, Tudor time, Elizabethan time.
Yeah.
England. It's all really well done from a historical standpoint.
Yeah, except what is your obsession with making Shakespeare hot? Like, I think we've all seen these drawn images of him with a receding bob and a big poofy collar, and
now
he is no Joseph Fiennes or Paul Mescal or this guy who's also very attractive.
I mean, I'll get the name of who plays Shakespeare in this. Dean Lennox Kelly is the guy's name who plays Shakespeare in this episode. But what you have to remember is that Shakespeare himself was the biggest celebrity of his time, the most, he was considered a proper, handsome star in Tudor England, in Elizabethan England, right? The fact he was, we see a portrait of Shakespeare now, and we all know the kind of portraits you've just mentioned. That sort of hairstyle and fashion was incredibly fashionable in the time. So you can't
in the depictions of
him, he doesn't look like Paul Mescal.
Yes, but those depictions of him don't portray that look at all. They make him some sexy, modern-looking guy in this time because they play into the fact that yes, he's a popular celebrity, so like that era's version of cool, but they make him like a modern day cool in that time, and that's kind of how. That's like every depiction of Mr. Shakespeare that I can think of. Like, it's okay. Let's just make him a classical rock star.
Look, it's like any depiction of Henry VIII you're going to get. He's going to be either this cartoonish, brutish, enormous giant of a evil man, or this rather charismatic, intimidating, slightly younger, fierce Damian Lewis looking man, for example.
Yeah.
And it's what you're going to get. The real Henry VIII, I don't think was necessarily as attractive as say, Damian Lewis. But sources would indicate that he was quite a dashing man in his youth. And I think that's the same with Shakespeare. We obviously have a little bit less on Shakespeare as an individual than we do on say, King Henry VIII, obviously around the similar sort of time as this. Obviously not the same. We, in fact, do get an appearance from Queen Elizabeth I at the end of this episode, which is very fun because there's always a little bit. This is very important to remember as a little bit of fun, silly canon. The Doctor and Queen Elizabeth I have a little bit of a fling going on, and it's never really seen or depicted or anything like that. But she will, because we obviously time travel, we obviously go back to the certain times every once in a while. And if she shows up, she'll be like really mad at him for some reason. And we don't quite know why, but it's because he's slighted her in some.
Okay, because all these queens, this is not the first queen who has had an adverse reaction to the Doctor.
Well, no, but this is an adverse reaction for a different reason. Though. Queen Victoria, Pauline Collins, Queen Victoria, last series
doesn't like all his wibbledy wobbledy timey wimey mess. Yes, she didn't like that.
Elizabeth I does like that, and he's very attractive.
Likes it a little too much. Yeah,
likes it too much, and then he goes off, and then she's not happy about that aspect of it. Queen Victoria wanted to get rid of him immediately, but couldn't. But the Shakespeare Code as an episode, do we like this episode, Jeannine? I quite like this episode.
Yeah.
I like this period in history. I like seeing it depicted. I like that it's as good as genuine witchcraft as you're going to get in Doctor
Oh,
Who, because it always
yeah,
has to
and
science it and alien it up rather than it being actual witches, and it does that well,
yeah,
I think.
yeah. Yeah, so having that supernatural element and also having it play into something that would be very popular in a Shakespeare work kind of going down the line, for
Yes.
him also making kind of their magic play on why they need him specifically, because it's all around kind of words and things like that and the
Yeah.
power of words. So having
Very
him be kind of the vessel for their magic and
Who
words being able
who is arguably the most powerful wordsmith in the Western world, Shakespeare.
Exactly.
So,
Yes, yeah, so having
um,
that be kind of the source of potentially being able to fight against these witches and them using that against Shakespeare and the Doctor, all kind of really works, and I think it's a really fun way to go about, having a historical figure in an episode, so
yeah.
yeah, I also liked that, Martha will be asking to know that Martha will be asking the questions that me as a Black woman will be thinking, because I'm always
Mm,
the person who's like, "No, I cannot play that fun little time travel game of what time period would you go back to if you had a time machine? Because there is no time that where I would be safe, except for maybe the 1990s." So,
well,
yeah,
as
so
I
the
say,
fact
I
that
mean,
they
as I
can
say, it depends
it
where you would go, but in your
exactly
own
general, yeah.
generally speaking.
Yeah. Exactly. So, the fact that when they do go back to this time, Martha's like, am I safe here? Like, because there's slavery and the doctor's like, oh yeah, like you'll be fine. Doesn't really like
No,
fully
I don't
answer her
know.
question.
I don't think it's necessarily something that we have to get too deep into, because I don't think it's trying to do anything.
No, but I
But do
think they
we
know that, like, we have a Black companion. I think it needs to at least be acknowledged, like, what
Yeah,
she might feel, in traveling to the past.
yeah.
So, I
And
like
that's what I
that,
was
like,
gonna ask.
as
Do
a
you think
Black
is
person,
that
I needed at least needed that acknowledgement. So, I didn't need
yeah,
them to go into detail about it. I didn't need the plot to kind of go that way where, like, on top of everything else they're dealing with, people are trying to like chase her around and catch her or what. Like, I didn't need anything
yeah,
like that. But I just needed to know that like the show is like, yes, we're acknowledging that this is a Black character. She has those concerns, because as a Black woman watching this episode, I would have also had the same thought. So I thank you
yeah,
for addressing it. And then now we can move on with the episode. So that was enough for
yeah.
me.
So we didn't mind the Doctor kind of being a little bit dismissive is the wrong word, a little bit almost
Don't worry
just
about it.
forget
It's
about
fine.
it, it's fine attitude.
Yes, I
We
kind of
didn't
wish you would have
mind,
had a
'cause what
better
what we're
answer.
saying is that we didn't mind that. Is that what we're saying?
Yes. I mean, I wish he would have had a clear answer of, like, why she didn't need to worry, but, like, once we kind of moved on, like, it wasn't a big deal. So it wasn't a huge deal. I was happy enough that they addressed it. Do I wish he would have given a more, like, better answer, like, a more secure, like, "Oh, yeah, in this time and da, 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 you will be fine," or something, bring in some kind of historical thing that would, explain it better. But once we kind of moved on, like, I was not still thinking about it or anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of just stated that, well, once you look around, you may realize that Shakespeare's London may not be that entirely different from your own. And then we see the odd depiction of various sort of Black people here
Yeah.
and there,
Yeah.
which, may have very well have been the case.
Yeah.
Who's to say? We don't
Yeah.
have historical records of most of society from that long ago, do we?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we only have, very precise
Little, yeah,
nuggets, I suppose.
specific. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so it's an interesting thing. It's worth bringing
Mhm.
up. It needed
Yeah.
to be brought up, and it
Yes,
needed
100%.
to be stated, as you've said, it needed to be stated by Martha and thought about by Martha in order to make her feel like an actual human being character.
Yes, that
It's
we're
very,
taking in all aspects of her into account as this companion. We're not
yeah,
ignoring that, you know, we are addressing the fact that she is, who she is, and she's different.
Yeah.
So and those things are going to come into play. So I appreciated that.
And as the celebrity historical, do we like, you know, Shakespeare being here as the character? Do we like the way Shakespeare is portrayed in comparison to our other
Yeah, no,
historical
I liked
celebrities we've
him.
had in the show so far? Your Queen Victorias, your Dickens, even going all the way back to the start of series 1. Are we into this particular portrayal so far?
Yeah, no, I mean, as you kind of described him as this kind of rock star, popular person of the time, this big celebrity, like he is clearly playing into that. They make him charming and likable and kind of flirtatious. Again, speaking to acknowledging what Martha looks like. So he's kind of finding all of the
Yes.
words of what they would have called a black person at this time. Um, and him kind of having this runner of like
Jewel of
flirting with
Africa and all this sort of
yeah, right. So yeah, having him being this kind of flirtatious charmer, I liked that aspect of him. But Martha really, not being swayed by that,
yeah.
uh, still kind of holding her own in terms of like, him kind of coming at her. I think at one point she even tells him like about bad breath, and I'm like, yeah, like no one knew about teeth brushing at that time. Like this was the stinkiest time, I'm sure, like in history.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't know if, personal oral hygiene was at its finest point
Yeah,
in
it's like, what would they have you been
Elizabethan
using?
England.
Yeah, what would they have been using to clean their mouths besides just like spraying fragrances and things in their mouths? I don't even know, because even the royals were
And
stinky and gross. So
well, yes, it's fun that it's said, I suppose.
yes,
In
we are acknowledging things that were really existed. We're not glamorizing this time, so I liked that aspect as well. And then kind of just in learning the story of Hamnet that I didn't even know was a real thing, having him
yeah,
dress it here was like, oh yeah, that
yeah,
thing that movie was about. So, and even like Martha, like Hamnet, because she's like expecting it to be Hamlet and like that whole
yes.
thing. So,
Obviously,
yeah,
that might be an interesting thing to write about. I'm
yeah,
working on my play about my son. Like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
are you working on your play about your son? What's your son's name? Hamnet.
Hamnet,
What? That doesn't make
yeah,
sense. There's also a little joke in there of, because the whole episode's obviously about these supposed witches who are revealed to
yeah.
not exact witches, even though they look very witchy,
Oh
don't they?
yeah,
In their actual, I mean, you can't get more of a witchy looking witch unless she's got
yeah,
green skin and a black pointy hat. Is the only
yes,
way you're getting a more witchy looking witch than these people, but they're not
yeah,
witches, they are carrionites, which
yeah,
are essentially a little bit sort of energy parasites who just want the energy of the words and the letters and things like this, and how all these come to be in order to improve their own power. Essentially,
yeah,
it's all power based, but they act and depict themselves as witches because obviously we're in Elizabethan England, and witches are starting to become a very popular antagonist in the public
yes, and
consciousness,
we
aren't
need to
they?
yes, and we need to set up that that inspiration for later
From
Shakespearean work.
Macbeth, yes, as well, of course, which is
Yes,
another little fun point that Martha brings up. He said, "You should know all about witches," she tells
y
Shakespeare. You
the
know
doctor's
witches.
like,
The
"That's
doctor's like,
that
"No,
hasn't happened yet.
not yet,
Not yet."
not yet, not yet, not
Yes.
yet."
Yeah, and I think she even brings up, like, when he's hitting on her, "Don't you I know you have a wife and children in the country," and he's like, "Well, they're in the
Yeah.
country."
What? What?
Yeah,
How do you know this?
um, right?
Who are
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, like, how do you know about my life? Like, yeah, so I like, the actual historical things that they do kind of pepper into the story as kind of fun little things, to
A
think
little bit
about and
less obnoxious than Rose trying to get Queen Victoria to say, "I am not amused," over and over.
Yes, yes, all her very poor attempts of that. But the humor here with all of that stuff, I think, worked a lot better. So, yeah, I was definitely into the depiction of Shakespeare and all of that. And I think our quote unquote witches worked as villains. It's definitely another
Yeah.
case of you will always recognize somebody Doctor Who,
Which is
the kind of head witch that we see kind of out of witch form the most. I was like, "Why do I know her?" And I was like,
because
"Oh,
you'll always
she."
recognize someone in Doctor Who, that's
Yes,
why.
yes, and then I recognized her as kind of the foil to Amanda Bynes in What a Girl Wants.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's how I recognized her. I was like, I know she played like a mean girl in something. What was it? Like, oh yes, she was the mean girl to Amanda Bynes in her UK movie, What a Girl
Great
Wants.
movie that it is.
So yeah, so good. Even though it doesn't use the song What a Girl Wants, so annoying. But
no.
yeah. So
it's
another
like,
case of recognizing somebody.
It's like the movie Two Can Play That Game that doesn't use the song Two Can Play That
Who
Game.
can play that game? Yeah, they make up a different version of Two Can Play That Game. Yeah, and has Bobby Brown in it, right? So it's like,
and yes,
you're putting him in this movie.
Bobby Brown in the movie as a cameo.
Yeah,
but still doesn't use the song. It's weird.
Why? Makes no sense. But
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yes, though it's I think we enjoy what's going on here. It's obviously a little bit of a monster of the week feeling episode. So there's not really wider stakes going on. We've spoke about the build of Martha and Doctor's relationship that does become stronger and more sort of prescient in Gridlock as well, which is obviously what we've got coming now. Is it even worth necessarily getting into how the Doctor solves the Carrionite situation, the Shakespeare's lost play that should not be performed because he's trying to perform it, and this will mess with history too much if Shakespeare is allowed to perform this play, and the magic is swirling around.
Yeah, and the words that the witches have made him write, if those are said aloud, it's kind of going to, open up this whole kind of evil thing for everyone to kind of hear it. So it's a pretty straightforward kind of monster of the week plot. This, like, we have to stop the play before it happens kind of thing, puts this kind of fun, tense ticking clock on everything. I do like that, we get to see a bit of Martha using like her very specific skills as a medical professional, and helping the Doctor, and like how casual she is about, like, oh, like she listens to his chest. She's like, oh, 2 hearts, that's interesting. Like, she's just very kind of chill and like kind of intrigued by that. So just another kind of cue that, like, oh yeah, she's definitely made for this life. That, like, as a medical person, hearing somebody with 2 hearts, she's not even really fazed by it. She's just very intrigued by it. So I thought that was kind of a fun element of her, and having to kind of revive one of his hearts when it goes out as well, and having to do some kind of medical things to help him. So it's just another thing to signal that, like, she has her own kind of unique skill set separate from Rose that can make her a different value to the Doctor in a way that we haven't seen before. So
definitely. Well, let's bridge the 2 episodes by talking about Martha's smittenness with the Doctor as well, because obviously I did want to ask you about the kiss that's not a real kiss in the Shakespeare Code episode, that is a transference of energy, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, that's what that first kiss was in that for their first episode in Smith and Jones, was him putting whatever alien particles on her so she could be read as that when they scanned her.
This seems to be happening frequently.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Yeah, so I can definitely
after the whole after the whole big romance crescendo between him and Rose by the end of Doomsday, of course, and it was all very emotional. And he didn't get the chance to say potentially what he wanted to say in return to Rose on Bad Wolf Bay.
Yeah.
He's now in 2 episodes going around kissing Martha.
I gotta transfer that energy. Yeah.
Let's just
but
keep
then it's
transferring
like,
the energy. And then we're lucky it doesn't happen again and again and again. I mean, no wonder
yes,
Martha's got the hots.
exactly. Like they are laying in a bed together and trying to figure out like how do they solve this situation that they're in. And, they're kind of laying face to face and she's kind of looking at him like, "Oh, we're sharing a bed," kind of thing. And then he immediately is like, "Oh, I wish Rose was here. Rose would know exactly how to figure this out. Rose would know exactly what to do and say." And she's just like,
You don't want to be talking about the ex-doctor.
Yes, while in bed with this other woman. So, yeah, I can understand like her confusion in, not only like the kisses, but like just this man whisking you off into these fantastical places who makes you feel like he's going to take care of you. Um, I can completely get being swept up with that. Like Rose completely was to where she would risk her own life to stay with him and be with him, um, and not give that up. So, yeah, I totally understand why she would kind of be feeling a bit of smittenness, but I still think she's trying to kind of suss things out as well. So I think because she's more logical than Rose was, she can kind of compartmentalize a little bit. She can kind of test the waters with the doctor and say something a little bit flirtatious and see how he reacts, and then but not kind of be overtly like all over him kind of thing. So, yeah. I like seeing her kind of test the waters when there is a kind of a mood brewing between the two of them, and then she can kind of play with it and see how he reacts and then either back off or lean into it. So I like those moments between the two of them and their energy.
Yeah. And this obviously, leads us really nicely into episode 3 of series 3, Gridlock, where many of those things do happen. Martha is very much testing the waters with the doctor in this episode, particularly in the very beginning and ultimately very end of this episode. It's the relationship really grows a lot over the course of this. It's the key relationship turner of an episode for Martha and the doctor. And, lo and behold, it's all because a companion gets separated again. Now, for God's sake, how many times do we have to deal with this nonsense?
Yes. Yeah, she gets taken away from him, but like I think before that she's asking him about his planet and what it looks like. And very much like, not wanting to talk about a past trauma, he literally just writes it off like, "Oh, it wasn't that special. It's not a big deal. You really don't want to hear about that. It's fine." Like he definitely just doesn't want to talk about it. Yeah.
In episode 1 was the first mention, I think it was in episode 1, was the first mention of Gallifrey as a name itself.
Yeah.
As the Doctor's home planet. And yes, as you say, here we're trying to get a little bit more information from the Doctor about Gallifrey. So, there's certainly
and she's like, "Okay, well, can we go?" Yeah, and so she's like, "Can we go there? It sounds amazing." And he's like, "Oh, you don't want to go there. Like it's not that special." Like kind of thing. When, he's struggling to tell her that it's not there anymore. So this is kind of the first time I've seen him kind of play into the kind of heartache that Eccleston always felt when like things about his home would come up.
The strange thing is though, is that the ninth Doctor was more than willing to explain the full ramifications of the Time War pretty immediately in his run to Rose. Like, I've just come from the Time War. That's why I'm a bit annoyed and sad a bit.
Yeah, but whenever like there
was a big war and my people and the Daleks and these people called the Daleks, and we had a big war and everybody lost and it was destructive and it was horrible. Now he's not wanting to talk to a companion about it at all.
Yeah, or even kind of describe the place or even mention to her that it's gone. So it's an interesting shift, but like I think the emotion is still the same. And I remember kind of talking about missing that about Eccleston in Tenet, that like, I
Yeah.
really loved seeing, when somebody would kind of the monster of the week would kind of throw it in his face, like he didn't do enough to save everyone. And then him kind of taking that on himself and really feeling the guilt of that, and
Yeah.
him struggling with that every time that would happen, because there were several occurrences kind of back to back where whatever creature would blame him for the loss of their people, and then he's reminded of the loss of his people and how how he feels responsible. And so seeing him live with that pain and then kind of fight through it in moments to be this kind of light positive force, to kind of try to save as many people as he can, was always really inspiring and made me really feel for that version of the Doctor. So in seeing Tennant not really delve into those emotions much, I was missing that. So to see him really feel that same kind of energy here of that loss and not wanting to talk about it, was really nice to see. Was nice to kind of see him kind of dig a little deeper in himself. Because throughout the course of this with him, as you kind of warned me, like he more projects those feelings as kind of anger and intensity. So to see it kind of come from
it's sort of a, I think it's interesting. I like getting into this sort of stuff, to be honest with you. We'll obviously get into the episode specifically shortly, but I do like getting into this very, very particular Doctor character stuff.
Yeah.
Because I do feel the Ninth Doctor was a very angry Doctor. Like, I know what you've just said there, and coming off the back of what you just said there, I do feel the Ninth Doctor was a very angry Doctor. I feel the 10th Doctor is a more confident and therefore arrogant Doctor.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It is a I'm going to beat you energy rather than a why do I have to beat you again energy, which is what 9 was, right? That's what Eccleston was. Never more better than in Dalek, of course.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's where we really saw him be angry. And I don't know that we really saw him that intense in any other episode. No. Whereas, we do see that kind of arrogance from Tennant, and even kind of in scenes where I think Eccleston would have played it more emotional, he kind of covers it with arrogance. So to see him have a softer reaction, like you can tell him trying to be very aloof about the loss of his home and in not telling her, oh, you don't want to go there. It's not that big of a deal. Tennant does a great job of having all of that kind of pain behind the eyes of not wanting to talk about it, or, seeing how excited she is about this place and him having to face that it's not there anymore and not wanting to tell her that. So,
because it means so much, of course. It's such a significant loss in the Doctor's life. And there's the whole incredible background of this particular episode as well, which is the whole little Face of Bo storyline going on. Now, the Face of Bo is a character we've seen now 3 times in 3 series. Showed up in the End of the World episode 2 of the series 1. Shows up in the series 2 opener, New Earth, on in that hospital everybody was, and now shows up again here in New Earth on New York. We're in the same location that we were in for the opener of series 2. Martha brings this up when she kind of realizes this. She asks the Doctor, "Oh, did you bring Rose here too?" It's like, yep, I did. Actually. I did bring Rose here. Oh, so you're just doing the same trips now?
You're not even giving me anything new. Yeah.
We've obviously
Yeah.
spoken about how much Martha's feeling like a rebound already. We went through that. We went over that at the
Yeah.
beginning of the episode.
Yes,
But
and I think that also plays into him
to
not
emphasize
opening
there.
up to her. Yeah, and I think that also speaks to why he's not really fully opening up to her, when she's asking him about this place. I mean, you talked about how liberally he was able to talk about this with Rose, with, Eccleston, and here he's not talking about it at all because I think he feels like if he even opens up to her, then it's a betrayal to Rose in some way. So it isn't until kind of the end where,
Maybe.
um he finally, after kind of going through something pretty significant with Martha, that he finally does
Yeah.
decide to kind of be a bit vulnerable with her and share something about himself with her.
I mean, look, maybe it's the stages of grief as well. Maybe,
Mhm.
the stages of grief kind of messing with each other, given that Eccleston was seemingly able to just relay the entirety of the horrific war he's just fought,
Yeah.
really quite suddenly. And now, the Doctor having sat on those emotions for some time now, things have happened since then. That wasn't the last significant thing to happen to the Doctor anymore, but
Yeah.
it is still an incredibly significant thing that has happened. He's
Mhm.
able to feel probably the sadness that he justifiably should feel
Yeah.
about the loss of it. I don't necessarily think we got that from Eccleston as much as we got just kind of PTSD rather than
Mhm.
a sort of sadness at loss. It was just more of a, I've just gone through trauma. I can't handle emotion now.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
as specific as sadness.
Yeah.
So it is that now, and it is a beautiful finale when he finally does open up to Martha. Obviously, everything turns out okay at the end of this episode,
Yeah.
but when he does finally open up to Martha about what Gallifrey was like, and it's twin suns and
Mhm.
gleaming orange sky and massive
Yeah.
domes and all this beautiful architecture that was there, the hills, the mountains.
Yeah.
It sounds like an absolutely majestic place, and the
Mhm.
tears are there in David Tennant's eyes to see. And it's a wonderful, wonderful scene, and you feel the bond is true now between
Yeah.
him and Martha.
Mhm.
After an episode of them both kind of not really knowing where they stand with one another and who each other is. I mean, how many times over the course of this episode we see them separated for a great length of the episode? How many
Yeah.
times do we see Martha question the fact that she doesn't really know who the Doctor is, and the Doctor question the fact that he doesn't really know who Martha is either, to their
Yeah, but
individual companions that they find themselves with over the course of this episode.
yeah, but even the fact that, like, he's fighting so hard to get her back, I mean, I think says something to him in, like, "This is somebody I want by my side," kind of thing. "This is somebody I do want to get to know and work with and be a teammate with," kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um 'Cause there is that urgency when she does get taken. Um, so, yeah, it's an interesting thing for them to have to face not being together and kind of realizing, like, who the other is and who they are
yeah,
to me and who I want them to be to me. So,
yeah.
yeah, those kind of interesting things for them to think about were really kind of able to come out in this episode, which I liked.
I'll give a little quick synopsis of this because we've not really spoken about any
Mhm.
necessarily
Plot
plot
points. Yeah.
of this episode yet. It's not a very good synopsis in relation in
To the other
comparison
one
to
was
the last
very
one.
detailed. Yeah.
The 10th Doctor takes Martha to New Earth in the far future, only to find that the entire city has become a deadly trap. It's quite a
Mm,
basic
yeah.
synopsis. I mean, it has become a deadly trap. There's a very interesting classism thing going on within this particular episode as well. I think,
Mhm.
we're in the underbelly of New York. There are these strange dystopian stalls where people can seemingly buy
By
emotions.
emotions. Yeah.
Wow. Like
Yeah.
this is a terrifying concept. The last time we saw New Earth, it was all gleaming and glistening and green
Yes,
and blue
no.
sky and
Now it's
flying
smog.
cars and white.
Yes. Now it is nothing but flying cars and smog ridden, and that's what life is. You're just trying to kind of get to the next part of this sky motorway in order to kind of
Yes.
move on to the next place, but you have to kind of fight for
Thus
your space in
where
this class system. Yeah.
Yes. Thus where the gridlock of the title comes in, that
Mhm.
literally we are spending the vast majority of this episode on a motorway, a freeway, a highway, whatever you wish to call it,
Mhm.
a large multi-lane road, essentially,
Yeah.
that is not moving. That
Yeah.
moves at no miles per hour. You
Yeah.
know, that is not exactly stationary,
Yeah.
but when it's revealed to the Doctor and Martha just how long some of these characters they come across have spent
Been on there, yeah.
driving. I mean, we're not talking hours here, we're talking months. We're talking 12 years at
Years,
one
yeah.
point that
Mhm.
one particular couple have been spending driving on this motorway. They've traveled all of about 6 miles in
Yeah.
12 years or something like that.
Yeah. It's
And
crazy.
this is just it's a big propaganda machine of this is how we have to leave. This is how we
Mhm.
must escape. This hologram comes on, tells us the weather, what it's like up in proper New Earth, the sky over the Atlantic is
Mhm.
gleaming and all this. And they come on at the same time every day. We get our little radio broadcasts, and then we all get together for a very morose version of Abide with Me, don't
Yeah.
we? Which is, for God's sake, if there's ever more of a funeral song than
Oh,
Abide with
yeah.
what there is.
Yeah, it's
But
so
strangely
miserable.
enough, it's always played at the FA Cup final in Brit the f you know, the in Britain, which is I've always thought was a bit weird. Why do we
Yeah,
have to play something that
with sad
sounds
sack
like the
music.
saddest dirge of a song of a
Yeah,
piece of
yeah.
music? But we do, and that's played, and it's all quite intensely emotional. It's the only bit of hope these characters have, and they're a wonderful bunch of side characters in this
Oh, yeah.
movie.
Mhm.
You know, Brannigan, the cat man, and his
Yeah,
wife and
his
their little
wife.
kittens.
Yes,
They're
the 2
great,
old women.
personable. Yes, the 2 old lesbian women who Brannigan
Yeah,
doesn't like to call lesbians because he's too old-fashioned and he's a bit uptight and a bit uppity, and he doesn't like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But they're quite clearly just 2 very old lesbians, and
Yeah.
it's fun.
Mhm. Yeah.
The weird pale guy who Martha comes across, who's
Oh,
just kind of a
yeah.
bit nervous, like, towards the
Yeah,
end. There's all
yeah.
these little people. I mean, even the people that end up kidnapping Martha at the
Snapping
beginning,
Martha. Yeah, this young
they
couple who have a baby on the way.
they
Yeah,
kidnap her because they
they can
require 3 people in their car to get to the quote
the
unquote
next
"fast lane." There's no
yeah,
fast lane on
yeah.
this motorway. It's just the thought of one, the
Yeah.
promise of one,
Mhm.
the hope of one. Nothing's
Yeah,
actually true. You're just being fed these lies and this propaganda, and
yeah.
it's phenomenal dystopia, I think, in
Mhm.
Gridlock. It's really, really well done. Okay, it's ultimately revealed to all stem from, or a sort of sense of terror is ultimately revealed to stem from the Macra, which are the alien crab beings
Oh,
that
yeah.
are
Mhm.
underneath all the fog and smog and everything,
Yeah.
and this is
Yeah.
why this sort
They're kind
of
of in this situation, yeah.
is
Has
why, yeah,
thrived
it's
like
why
this.
we're in this
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
Um, but that's, I mean, it's almost the dystopia is almost spoiled by the reveal that it's to do with this, these macra. You
Yeah.
know, it would, I think, be more interesting. It was more interesting when it society had just become this, rather
Yeah, adding
than
this
the
kind of
reason of
outside
anything.
monster. Yeah,
Yeah,
adding this outside monster of the week kind of killed the kind of cool, grounded motivation of what was happening here. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
yeah. And the Macra are a very old Doctor Who being as well. This was
Mhm.
their reintroduction after decades and decades.
Yeah.
I don't really get if there's any hype around the Macra. I don't necessarily think
I
there is.
mean, they weren't
It's
incredibly memorable in my
No,
opinion,
they're
but
just large crab aliens, really.
yeah.
That's it. That's all they are. Um, Causing this dystopia for the underbelly of
Yeah.
New York. But it is quite threatening, obviously. The traffic, the gridlock, the
Mhm.
motorway itself. It is a
Yeah.
quite a threatening place because, well, you don't want to fall into the macro because they will just
No.
you to shreds.
Yeah.
Right? You are not surviving. They're a destructive force. Okay, so you don't want to go far down. You want to stay
No, but
high up in your
yes, but
car.
you really wanna be stuck in place for even longer. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's quite a tense sort of jumping from car to
Mhm.
car chase to in order to
Yeah.
kind of try and find where Martha is.
Is yeah.
And it's a bit of an investigation because obviously she's been kidnapped and we don't
Yeah,
know
so then he
exactly where
asks
she
the little
is,
vendors, like, who took her? Who are those people who took her? And then he
what's
kind of gets
happening.
yeah, what is the state of this place, like, right now? And so they ultimately kind of explain to him what's been going on, and so, yeah, now he kind of has to go from, like, vehicle to vehicle to try to figure out, like, where she is and, like, use the kind of, uh, CB radio kind of connection between all of these,
Yeah.
people here to find her. So, yeah, it does become kind of a bit of this interesting investigation.
Any instance of you'll always recognize someone in Doctor Who from you in this episode, Janine? Unless there may be one
I
person,
mean,
but you have watched something very specific to
there
know.
was, something that, like, has kind of newly become to my attention. The cat man, like, his voice sounded
Yes,
very familiar to me.
yes, it would.
Um
I would hope it's from the place where most people would know
Yeah,
this.
so I looked him up and I saw that he was Father Ted, which was a show that only kind of
He was in Father
newly
Ted. He
yes,
wa he was Father
that
Dougal in Father
yes.
Ted.
The show I've only kind of recently, kind of become familiar with, so, um,
Okay.
yeah,
I
in one
would
of my spicy
what
communities, the voice actor, the Devil of Dublin, he, like, was talking he made some
oh, well.
reference to it, and nobody really who wasn't, like, in Europe knew the reference. So he, like
Who wasn't
so
British or Irish knew what he
yes.
was talking about.
So he put on an episode, like, had a little watch party for us to watch, like, a couple episodes so we could get the reference that he was talking about. So I was like,
Nice, okay.
"Oh, I know what Father Ted is. He's in that. Yes, that's why I
Yes,
know." His voice sounded familiar to me. Yeah. Mhm.
I'm glad you recognised Ardlo
Yeah.
Hanlon as Brannigan the Cat Man here
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
this. But there is something about New Earth and cat people, isn't there? I did briefly mention our little I suppose, overarching story, but side story of the face of Bo in this
Yes, yes.
episode
Mhm.
and his, little
Cat
cat nun
companion
help,
person. Yeah.
who is one of the cat nuns from
Yeah,
New
the
Earth
doctor
as
remembers
well.
her. Yeah. Mhm.
But the face of Bo is dying, Janine.
Yeah.
This is very significant. You see, it's more significant, I think, than you realised it. Not only because the face of Bo is obviously a, a background recurring
Mhm.
character of the last three
Mhm.
series, yes, but he dies quite sadly, quite emotionally, as far as the
Mhm.
Doctor's concerned. There's clearly been some sort of
Yeah.
relationship
Yeah.
there.
He's kind of giving this encouragement, "Oh, you're not going anywhere," kind of chatter that happens
Yeah,
before somebody is obviously not going to make it.
But upon, in past appearances, the face of Bo has been referred to as impossibly old, billions of years
Mhm.
old, the oldest being in existence, and all this
Mhm.
sort of stuff. Like the ridiculously significant for for someone like a Time Lord, as the Doctor
Mm.
is,
Yeah.
to know this sort of being, to be close with the
Mhm.
sort of being like this, who has seen everything there is to see,
Yeah.
essentially, and have the wisdom and the capability of doing anything. It is ultimately the face of Bo that ends up kind of saving the day in this
Yeah.
episode as well, by using the last of his energy to open the roof on this motorway.
Yeah.
The people obviously didn't realize was a roof. They just thought this was the road,
Yeah.
and everybody's able then to
They fly out of
fly,
there. Yeah.
drive
Mhm.
upwards and to freedom of
Mhm.
regular New Earth, which does
Yeah.
still exist. This is where the classism comes in, because all
Yeah.
these people are quite clearly the forgotten lower classes,
Yeah.
and they're just
Yeah.
being pushed aside and told to do this. They'll waste years of their lives on that motorway. Just
Yes,
leave
and they
them
won't
there.
question it. Yeah.
We won't question it. We'll just leave them there, and we'll live our fancy lives as normal.
Mhm.
Obviously, this is all positive by the end, and everybody's able to drive up into
Mhm.
proper, thriving New Earth
Yeah.
again. But the face of Bo does use the last of his life force
Course.
to
Yeah.
do this. And the face of Bo and his cat nun companion, who I forgot the name of now, Haynes,
I don't
Novice
remember.
Haynes. I feel like it's Novice Haynes, Haim, something Hay something,
Mm.
Novice something.
Yeah.
Says that the face of Bo um, has something to say. He said, I'm paraphrasing. The face of
Yeah.
Bo has
Yeah.
an important announcement.
Message for you. Yeah.
Yes. The face of Bo's last words must be said to a traveller. Well, I wonder who that could be. If there's
Yeah.
only one traveller, it could
Yeah.
possibly be. So what does the face of Bo have to say to this traveller? As the last word of the face of Bo ever will say. Jeannine, he says, "You are not alone." He says this to the
Okay.
Doctor. Now, the Doctor does not take this in any great
It's
thought, really. The
yeah.
Doctor considers this a nonsense because obviously he is the last of the Time Lords. He remains the last of the Time Lords. There aren't any other Time Lords knocking around,
Yeah.
are there? So,
Yeah.
what does the face of Bo mean by this? Well, we'll come to
Yeah.
learn what the face of Bo
Okay.
means by this. It may not be quite as direct as you may think. It may be exactly what you think. I don't know. I'm not one to say yet, what it's going to be.
Okay.
But it's incredibly significant for this series of Doctor Who. The phrase "You are not alone" spoken to the Doctor. It is
Okay.
very, very significant. But what does it mean? Do you have any idea
I
about
mean, no, I didn't read it as like too kind of deep. Like I thought like, okay, like they're making a big deal out of this moment. So it might be something that's going to come into play later, but it just kind of at the moment felt like a kind of fun inverse of like what, is said to humans when it comes to aliens, like, the kind of motto of "We are not alone"
Okay.
kind of thing. So because
Okay.
he's saying it to an alien, it's kind of like the inverse of that kind of thing. So I kind of was taking it as kind of like this kind of fun play on what humans would say about aliens kind of thing,
Okay.
but just kind of the gravitas they were giving this moment. I was thinking, okay, this has got to play into something. This is going to maybe play into something down the line, but right now I'm not reading any kind of
Okay.
significance of what that might be. So,
I mean, I think you could also view it maybe as, if it's spoken directly to the Doctor, which it is. It's
yeah,
purposely spoken directly
to
to the
him and
Doctor.
something to do with his people and especially bringing up
Yes.
his home world in this episode
Yeah.
on top of bringing up like him not being the only one of his kind around. Yeah.
So, is that the case is the question we have to ask. Or does it mean you are not, as in you specifically, Doctor, are not alone? You'll always have your
You have
companion.
somebody.
Remember
Yeah.
that,
Yes.
and
There
it's
are
a bit of
quite a few
wise
ways.
words
Yeah.
from the face of Bo in that sense.
Yes, and to maybe, like, open yourself up to Martha, like, in the you're closing yourself off, you're not fully committing to this new person, so if you don't wanna be alone, realize she's here for you, she's going along with you, she's supporting you, you are not alone, realize that, and then, when we see him then go into opening up to her about his world and the loss of it and things, then that also makes that feel like a plausible thing for him to say as well. So, yeah, a few readings of this thing that he tells him, but I don't know. Yeah.
It will, no, it will be, as I say, it will be important during the course of series 3. As will obviously the growing relationship between Martha and the Doctor as well. But do not forget the words, you are not alone. Very key. Very key going forward. I really like this episode, though I had honestly forgotten how much I enjoy
Yeah, it was really
Gridlock.
good.
We've got an interesting 2-parter coming next as well.
Oh, okay.
I say interesting in the sense that, well, it's definitely another installment of You'll Always Recognise Someone in Doctor Who. Probably one of the most significant You'll Always Recognise Someone in Doctor Who of the era as well, it has to be said. There's a few really big names that, had very early roles on Doctor Who in this era.
More significant than Simon Pegg?
More significant, I would say more significant than Simon Pegg in a wider Hollywood sense, I would say. Maybe equal footing, but also Simon Pegg was also very well known before his appearance on Doctor Who. Shaun of the Dead had already come out. He had already, worked on Spaced, for example. He'd already done those things. This was, in our next 2-parter that is coming up, which we actually, funnily enough, do go back to New York as well. New York's everywhere at the moment.
All right, yeah.
You can't get out of New York at the minute.
No, apparently not.
Whether it's the basketball, the World Cup, Doctor Who, you can't get out of New York at the moment. Everywhere's talking about New York. But we are back in New York in a historical time period. We're in the 1930s in New York. Complete with poor American accents from various British actors, which is really fun. But it's an interesting 2-parter, I think. I'll give you. I'll say it's about the Daleks. I can say it's about the Daleks. It's about the Daleks.
Okay.
It's about the Daleks. The Daleks are back. Or should I say, the specific Daleks are back. Remember those Daleks who you thought were gone forever? They're back, obviously.
Oh, goodness.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe that's a bit of a spoiler, but
I mean, seems like kind of a big deal. So
the Daleks are back. It's an interesting 2-parter, though. It's what would you refer to it as? The evolution of the Daleks 2-parter, probably, is what we would refer to it as. Or the New York Daleks 2-parter. But it does feature one of the most significant You'll Always Recognise Someone in Doctor Who characters of the era, definitely. And I won't even have to say, oh, watch out for this person, because it's just blatantly obvious. Straight. It's not like they are a significant role within this. They're a significant enough role within this 2-parter, and you'll just go, "What are you doing there?" When you what's going on here? But that's what we've got coming next on Dialogue. into Doctor Who for Series 3. After that, we've got a couple of individual episodes that maybe are probably the weakest two of the series, to be honest. After this two-parter. And then, after that, it's time for banger after banger after banger after banger.
All right. Okay.
Which is fun. That starts with another great two-parter as well.
Okay.
Really good. Oh, really good.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Focused as well.
Ooh, yeah.
Human drama as well. Human drama and horror.
Well, that's perfect. Yeah.
Two-parter.
All right.
But that's a little bit of a teaser of of Series 3. Do not forget, you are not alone, Jeannine. And I think we've had fun talking. Predominantly the development of Martha and the Doctor's bond.
Yes, that's what my eye is going to these first few episodes. So
yes, yeah. And I think that's purposeful. I think that's justified. I think that is the reasonable reading of what we've got going on here. But, of course, we will be back in 2 weeks' time with the evolution of the Daleks two-parter here on diving into Doctor Who. What on earth will Jeannine make of that nonsense that happens? Those who are aware of what happens in the evolution of the Daleks will understand what I mean when I say that nonsense, because isn't it just a bit nonsense? It is a little bit nonsense. Okay. You know what I'm talking about. Why does it look like that? Why does it sound like that? Why does it look like that? I'll reiterate. But it does look like that, doesn't it? Okay. It's funny. I'm trying to not just say everything to you and show you a picture of it.
Well, I'm getting a weird sense of what I'm in for, so
it's just bizarre. There's all that. I forgot about that aspect of it as well. There's a lot of craziness in the Daleks. But yes, it is not the only show we have on the It's Wonderful podcast feed, of course. It is not even the only TV-based show we have here, because Discovering Dawson's Creek alternates every Monday with this show. Of course, we are into season 5 of Dawson's Creek over there. That is on the Mondays when this is not on, as well as Morgan Hasn't Seen every Wednesday, and the main show every Friday, celebrating old movies, as we love to do the most here on It's a Wonderful Podcast. Do subscribe wherever you are listening to this episode today, or of course, if you are watching on the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel, ding your notification bell and subscribe here. Over there, if you're not and you just want to do that anyway, that would be good and nice of you, wouldn't it? Yes, it would. Or, of course, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever else you may be listening on all major podcast platforms. Subscribe, ding your, I say ding your notification bell if something has notifications. Leave your likes, leave your ratings, leave your reviews, share it around, leave your comments on Spotify, comment on YouTube, of course, as well. And if you would like to support us on Patreon or donate in any way, you can find links to do that in the description of today's episode. As you can tell, I'm getting a little bit excitable about Doctor Who. My words are going a little bit all over the place. But you can also find us on and across all the social medias on the app formerly known as Twitter and on Blue Sky at It's a Wonderful One. Find me on the app formerly known as Twitter at the Purple Dawn with the 3 instead of the E in there, because, Jeannine,
3 is the magic number.
On Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at the Purple Dawn. And all your, Shakespeare love is where, I suppose. Shakespeare. He was very romantic.
Yes. You can find me at Jeannine Devine _ on Twitter, Jeannine Devine on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. And if you want to get any merch for any of our shows, just check the description for the link or search G9 Design on tpublic.com.
Well, there we go. Of course, it does leave only one thing left to do. And to save you doing a probably rather bad and offensive impression of Ardlo Hanlon, which I'm not so sure how good your Irish
No,
accent is. That
definitely
doesn't
not
make it
good.
sound like a walking stereotype. You can just pretend you're in a Shakespeare play instead if you want. What's your favourite Shakespeare play? Do you have one? Do you have a favourite Shakespeare?
I don't know that, like, I haven't branched more off of from the obvious ones, so I feel like I would
Yeah.
need to
Well,
branch
that's
out
fine.
more
You know,
than the, like, obvious,
if you
like, 3.
look, if you want it to be Hamlet, it can be Hamlet. That's fine. I think mine's probably Hamlet. I think it's just great, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's-
I think so. Yeah. I haven't seen a ton of adaptations either, so definitely one I need to delve into more, but yes, on the ones I've seen, it's very good.
Well,
But,
David Tennant did one. It was a Royal Shakespeare Company one. It was a slightly modernised,
Oh,
stagey filmed. It wasn't like a stage. It wasn't like a
yeah,
film of a stage.
yeah.
But it was an interesting version actually. In about 2009, I think he did. So that was a decent modern-y version of Hamlet.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Very Shakespearean.
Also did mention you share a birthday.